And please give a warm welcome to Tan Dun. Thank you. To his right, our wonderful principal violist, Tung Lee. And we're delighted to have Anssi Kartonen here, the wonderful cellist who has played this piece, which will be performed tomorrow night. This will be his 27th time. Shauna Ralston will be playing Gary Kulesh's Concerto for Cello and Orchestra next week. Welcome, Shauna. And Gary Kulesha, of course, who we all know, our composer advisor. Thank you, Gary, for being here. We have a very exciting premiere on Saturday night of a string quartet concerto, a rare breed indeed. Please welcome Alexina Louis, who's written this piece. And Frederick Szepicki, whom I've known for longer than I care to admit, who has written a piece a few years ago called Odyssey, inspired by A Space Odyssey. Please welcome Frederick Szepicki. When I arrived in Toronto, I thought, you know, one of the things that's really difficult for a symphony orchestra is just to keep playing really good programs week after week after week and attract audiences every single night. So maybe if we have some really interesting anchors in the season, it might make things, you know, color things up a little bit. And so there were two ideas. One was a Mozart festival around Mozart's birthday, but the one I was really excited about was this New Creations Festival, and we started in 2005. And the idea was to have composers present and to talk to them, because I mean, how many of us have been in our lives at contemporary music evenings and felt just so bad about how few people were there and how little was going on and how many people left at intermission, and I just thought we've got to get some great energy around this. And I once heard John Drummond, who ran the Proms in England, and he was saying, a lady came up to me once and said, you know, I really can't stand contemporary music. And he said, I said to her, are you bragging or apologizing? And I thought that was a very good question. So we've tried to create something of a new atmosphere to present contemporary music. And it's been extremely exciting, and I'm just really thrilled that with our marketing department and everybody else's efforts, and Gary, who's constantly there to advise us and create some great music himself, we've now come to the point where it seems to be quite a popular festival. So that is very thrilling for all of us. This year, we've decided to focus on a kind of Asian inspiration, and who better to bring that to us as a kind of headliner than our great friend Tan Dun, who has been with the orchestra now for 2 days. And I have to tell you, I've watched the rehearsals, and it is really, really inspiring. I mean, we all know of your extraordinary ability to create music for all kinds of settings, including film, naturally. But what is fascinating, I think, for all of us is to witness the way you work with the musicians and your completely heartfelt approach. It's really inspiring, and it's always accompanied by deep conviction and great knowledge. So, Tan Dun, I'd like to start by asking you a little bit about the map, which is a kind of a multimedia piece that, as we were saying, that Anssi has played with you, or with various conductors, but including you, and now for the 27th time. So tell us the origins of this piece, the map.
Actually, more than 15 years ago, I started to have some idea, thinking of using some of the Aboriginal music materials, or thought. Actually, thought is more important, I thought, for this piece. Then later on, I get a commission from Boston Symphony Orchestra and also the Yo-Yo Ma, and I was talking to them. I said, I have 3 ideas, maybe to work with Aborigine in Australia, or maybe some of my hometown Hunan minorities, or maybe somewhere else. They said maybe it's better to go with your hometown stuff. We want to know where you came from. So basically, I tell them when I was a student, I heard a wonderful musician who can play a single stone but with a different kind of scales. And he said, go back to find him. So that's where we start. When I went to the hometown, he vanished, and the music also vanished. He's passed away. So I was trying to find him back. So basically, this map is a map trying to find people dead come back to life.
The video that I was observing now today for the first time, what are the origins of that video? How did you organize it?
That's my first video camera, and actually was a very, very one of the earliest one, just to start to produce. Yeah, that time the video, although it's a very small camera, but it's quite big. So I basically took all the video by myself. I traveled from basically from a west part of Hunan. It's a very sort of mountain and very primitive district with minorities like Miao. It's like a Hmong people, you know, in states in Minneapolis region. They have about 25,000 Hmong people. Most of those people from Vietnam. And they have Hmong people, Miao people. Then they have two Jia people, earthy people, and they have Dong people. It's very, very fashionable and beautiful girls, always using egg white every morning to shape their hair.
Did you do this video before you wrote a note? Was it existing?
Yes, I did shoot about 20 hours actually, all kinds of indigenous and interesting stuffs. Then I started to pick it out a structure, basically maybe instrumental singing or ghostly or lively or spiritually or folkly. I trying to find a balance. And also tempo-wise, but the most important thing is all those materials have to provide me a more and more sort of a counterpoint idea, developing from notes to notes to like different times, different styles, different tempos, and different kind of media. For example, the picture and the sound. And you know, you move, I stop. I move, I'm fast, you are slow. You are fast, I'm slow. And you are visible, I'm invisible. And so it's have a real sort of a multimedia texture for this, out of this 20 hours.
It seems a wonderful conversation between many different elements. I mean, even in the video, there's all kinds of different elements that are going on. But then you have the cello amplified, of course, which is the principal voice from the stage. But then you have this fascinating other kinds of conversations coming from elsewhere in the orchestra, and I mean, wonderful use of percussion, but even use of the voice of the orchestra sometimes.
The most difficult thing for the orchestra is, first of all, there are two things you have to deal. First of all, it's the style. To us, the style is very, very sensitive things to deal with. When you have one thing to start, it's no longer you are composing, actually. It's something else to compose you. It's true, you know, when you start, we can imagine when Beethoven started bum 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 bum, and the second is dun 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 dee. Then third one, dun 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 dun. So it seems like when you start first thing, then the second thing, third thing is always growing from this roots. And the style is very difficult because you already have those things, very, very earthy, atonal, or sometimes is microtonal, or sometimes is noisy. Then you have to start with a orchestral blending and what kind of a direction to go, whether Schoenberg or John Cage or Carter or Philip Glass or whatever. But then I find either one of them suit this roots. Yeah?
I think it was Mahler who said, one doesn't so much compose, you are composed. He actually said that.